all of you. And I want to just remark about Marcus, first of all. I think it's an understatement to say that Marcus has your back here in Thunder Bay Rainy River riding. He is a persistent, gritty person who knows how to get things done. And I say that with a high degree of respect, because that's what it takes actually to get attention here in Northern Ontario. And not just obviously in terms of funding, but in advocating for the voices of people who live here. And so I'm really proud to serve with Marcus, and I'm really always amazed at his ability to say the hard things in a room that sometimes other people are afraid to say. And that is an asset and a quality in a member of parliament that can't be understated, especially in a partisan system where sometimes, and you all know this, groupthink can really set in, and Marcus is never a victim of that. So you should be so proud of the persistent representation that he provides this area. I'm super proud to be a Northern Ontarian, and so you can't imagine how excited I was when the Prime Minister said, you are going to be the next Minister of FedNor. I, of course, have been a Minister and Member of Parliament for 8 years, since 2015, and I've worked extensively with the incredible FedNor crew here, and we've got representatives. I was always really proud of the work that FedNor did on economic development for our region, but it was a real honor to be asked to be the minister, because I knew that even though FedNor was doing amazing, amazing work, that we could even make it better. And money is one aspect of it, of course, and we've seen some increases in some spaces, but also the autonomy of FedNor. FedNor in previous years was a part of a department, and it's now its own independent agency. And that is really a testament to Northern Ontario Liberal MPs who fought for that. And we finally were able to secure this this approach, where FedNor now has a full autonomy and has the decision-making power of every other economic development corporation federally run across the country. And so I'm really proud of the work that you've done over the last couple of years, FedNor, because it's not easy to go from being the child of a department to your fully fledged own independent agency. And it's been a lot of work, but I think it's paying off. I think that, when we think about Northern Ontario, and Marcus kind of touched on it, we've always been really vulnerable in Northern Ontario because of our reliance on one or two big sectors. We talk about mining, we talk about forestry, we talk about pulp and paper. I represent Thunder Bay Superior North that has a very similar story, where there are communities that are almost entirely reliant on one sector for the good jobs and for the quality of life that we come to appreciate. And that's why I think the work of FedNor is so important, because it actually allows our communities to diversify. And of course, we invest in some of those big industries, like mining, for example. We're on the cusp of hopefully some development in the Ring of Fire. FedNor is playing a lead role in that work to help make sure that we can move forward on something that all of us have talked about and thought about for a very long time. But we don't put all our eggs in one basket anymore in Northern Ontario, and that's because we've learned, I think, as a region, that we need to diversify our economies, and we need vibrant downtowns like the one you see today that is hosting this lovely market, and that we need to not just have good jobs that are really solely focused in one sector, but that we actually can provide and attract opportunities for families to come that are experts in tech development, that are healthcare sector workers, that are innovating in a variety of different ways, and that we can strengthen the small business landscape that makes these communities, our communities, actually fun to live in. It's not just enough to have a good paying job. It's also important that we have communities that are vibrant and that not just attract people, but keep people, especially with families. And that's how we build things up. So today, including the amount of money that Marcus spoke about, the Government of Canada through FedNor is investing $1.6 million in municipality-led projects on the region. And I think I've already mentioned the importance of municipal partners, but municipalities are the ones that are actually know the community the best and often have the best ability to create the fertile ground for those diverse economies that we know we need. So as Marcus mentioned, Fort Frances is receiving $365,000 for 2 projects. One, a study that will look at repurposing the biomass boiler and decommissioned heat and power generating station at the closed mill, and a strategic plan that will help identify new economic development opportunities and help prioritize investments. Sioux Lookout is receiving $664,000 to extend municipal infrastructure services. Dryden is receiving $245,000 for 2 projects that include a community capacity study and some gap analysis on what kinds of businesses exist and what kinds of businesses they might like to attract, and a food aggregation and distribution hub feasibility study. Food, obviously we're all very focused on not just the local food access, but keeping the price of food down in an inflationary time. And Rainy River is receiving, as Marcus said, $217,000 to keep that amazing regional economic development officer for 3 years. These regional economic development officers, for a fairly low investment, generate a lot of activity in our communities, especially in northern communities. They're the ones, oftentimes young whippersnappers, that are coming with the great ideas and attracting other people to the region. And so it's really important to keep the support up for that. FedNor is going to receive $90,000 for the development of a strategic planning process for 5 years. And lastly, I hope I'm going to say this right, Mackin or Mackin? Did I say that right? Machen? Machen. Okay, good. I've never been to Machen. Machen is receiving $45,000 also to develop a community improvement plan. So you can see the theme here. This is about keeping our communities vibrant and strong and forward-looking so that we can actually continue to attract people to the north and stop that population decline that we have seen in our boom and bust experiences here in Northern Ontario. We want jobs in our communities to be good paying jobs. We want communities where people have confidence that they can raise their kids and that there'll be a good school for them to go to, and that there's going to be community opportunities for them to participate as they grow so that they can actually reach their full potential and give back to the next generation. So I just do also want to talk about, just for a moment, some of the other investments that we're making to try to help with the cost of living. We know that inflation's really been challenging for people, that it has driven up the cost of food. You've heard a lot about our new $10 a day daycare centers that hopefully will see more and more spots available across Northern Ontario. That's really reducing costs for families of young children. We have the dental program that is taking the next steps hopefully this year, and certainly right now it's helping families in need to access healthy dental care and take a bit of stress off parents' minds. You probably, if you're eligible, and for families that are low and middle income, will have seen the grocery rebate that just came through. And of course, the Canada Child Benefit. You know, when we took office in 2015, we had a poverty rate of 14% across this country. That means 14% of us Canadians were living in poverty and struggling to put food on the table. And since 2015, even with the pandemic, even with the recession, that poverty rate has been reduced to 7%. So we've cut that poverty rate in half over 8 years. Do we have more to do? Not a question. Absolutely, we have more to do. And we have a lot of work to do to get through this inflationary time. But the progress is in the numbers, folks, and I'm a data-driven person, and so we've got to keep working together. This is how we get through these tough times. As Canadians, we know that. We're a rigorous bunch here in the north, and we're going to help each other out until we get through this tough time, and FedNor is going to be with us all the way. So